catch up with you. Sorry, I'm just on my way out, but your workstation's at the back over there. It should be all set up on the network, but let the guys know if it isn't. From there, you can access all the data you need to help us direct development of the car. Get yourself settled, and then head out to practice when you're ready. I'll catch up with you later, okay?
What is up, guys? Welcome back to the F1 2019 career mode. We're here for the Australian Grand Prix, just settling into our new home here at Toro Rosso, giving it a once over, looking around our elements and seeing what we have. You can see, very nice, not much has changed from last year to say the least, in between the different homes of the teams. But going straight into our computer, we're going to have a little nose and see what else we have. You can see our teammate Alexander Albon, all of our stats there, and ourselves looking very smug to say the least. R&D is going to be a big focus for us this year for sure, trying to get this Toro Rosso up the grid. But looking at the performance, it's not going to be that easy. Probably going to have to focus on the aerodynamics to say the least for this. In terms of power unit, what I'm probably going to end up doing is I'm not going to overtake Red Bull in the engine, just because, you know, it's a bit more realistic that way. Red Bull will have the optimum power unit performance, so if we just stick behind them when they upgrade, we can upgrade, and you know, it makes a little bit more sense. So we're going to spend most of our money on aero, some on our chassis, and then anything we have left over we will use on reliability components and stuff like that. But just clearing out our inbox, you know, the standard stuff here from our agent, our targets, our goals, and all the other fun stuff just like that. But it's going to be an interesting weekend for sure. Our first weekend in Formula 1, and look at that. That is a beautiful shot there of Melbourne. It's insane how much this has improved. I know, obviously, you know, it's only for certain tracks and stuff like that. Like, you got this guy walking along on his boat. You won't get this every Grand Prix, but at the same time, you know, it's a nice little addition to the game, to say the least. But it's so far so good. It looks amazing, and even the flag looks nice. It's just the way it moves in the wind. Now, it's probably a bit weird, you're thinking, but at the same time, you know, we've had the same kind of career mode for the last couple of years, and seeing new additions obviously is definitely nice. But looking at Kevin Magnussen in his black and gold overalls, which missing a few logos, few races into this career mode for sure. We've got the McLaren of our rival Devon Butler there, but getting the tyres prepared for him to go out. Robert Kubica back for another season in Formula 1. Been a long time since he's suited up for a race weekend, but have to see how he goes in this career mode. There is Pierre Gasly, the second Red Bull car, sister to Max Verstappen. Eyes going to be on him for sure, and we're going to be looking to take his seat maybe at the end of the season or halfway through the season. We'll have to see how he can perform. Lando Norris, one of the F2 rookies that have come into the sport, definitely a big player in the midfield for sure. Our teammate Alexander Albon, another F2 person who's been promoted, and it's going to be a good battle between him. Lucas Faber, our teammate technically from F2, also another rival. We're going to have to be competing against him for the best part of the season. I believe he's going to be our best way to gauge ourselves against how we're doing. That was ourselves talking to our boss before we go out. So skipping straight into qualifying, it was incredibly difficult to get used to the car. We weren't doing too bad, but as you can see, the lap times start to tumble and stuff like that. But towards the end of Q1, you can see our lap time was all over the place, and we actually end up banging into the wall. But we had such a better time towards the end of this, it didn't make much of a difference. We turned everything up to the max, and we actually managed to scrape through into Q2. And on Q2, again, last knock-ins of Q2, we're currently P9, and it's going to be very touch and go, to say the least. We had to go around again just to make sure we got through. We moved up one position, which isn't a lot, but it was just enough just to scrape into Q3. Now you can see P10 in Q3, not exactly great. Last doors, I managed to make P7, which is obviously quite handy, to say the least. We ended up having this incident with the Ferrari, I believe of Sebastian Vettel, and he just completely closed us off and ended up in the gravel, so we couldn't even attempt to go again. He didn't have any damage. There was no penalty, racing incident, I guess you could call it, but obviously not ideal. We've had a bit of an incident already before we even get the race on the way, which is a bit hit and miss, to say the least. But got a Mercedes on pole, of course. You wouldn't expect anything less at the early stage of the season for sure. Romain Grosjean doing bits to get into the top 10. Lucas Faber also doing really well for his first race of the season. getting that Alfa Romeo up quite high, which could struggle. George Russell going to have a real uphill battle this season in that Williams car just to try and get some points. If he can get points, then that is what I'd consider a very successful season for him, considering that the machine he's got is by far efficient, let's say the least. Nico Hulkenberg, big year for him. He needs, it's make or break for Nico Hulkenberg this year, and Renault, who got fourth last year in the Constructors, needs to do something, especially with Ricciardo as his teammate. He's got to pull the rabbit out the hat this year and get on with something. But we're going to look at the grid now and see how the grid forms up. Looking at the first band on pole position, we do have Lewis Hamilton alongside Max Verstappen. On the second row, we have both Ferraris, Leclerc leading Sebastian Vettel, and behind them, ironically, is Bottas and Perez, followed by ourselves, Devon Butler, Lucas Faber and Hulkenberg. Gasly nowhere near in sight, he's in P11. Grosjean just behind him, Kevin Magnussen followed by Ricciardo, poor qualifying from him. Norris in 16th, which is quite a surprise. George Russell ahead of Raikkonen, Albon and Kubica. So Russell's actually done amazing in qualifying. Looking at the strategy, it's going to be very interesting to see how this pays off for the rest of the race. But we're on the grid and we are ready for the 5 lights to go out to start the Australian Grand Prix. We get underway right about now and you can see instantly, awful start. We've just got no traction off the start. It's going to be a theme for the first few races, I feel, trying to get this car off the grid very, very quickly. And you can see Butler's actually having a bit of a mare there with Sergio Perez. Weber almost went up her inside, so instantly within the first few corners, all three of the F2 rivals are all battling in the same proximity on circuit. Butler at this point in time just ahead of us, but we're going to see if we can get past him at some point during this race and actually show him up a little bit in F1, which is exactly what we need to do to stamp our foot. But we're in the slipstream of Devon Butler. He's still behind Sergio Perez at this point. We're out the gearbox of Butler. We're going to get a decent exit and he's going to get a really poor traction on the exit. We're going to go all the way around the outside through this really fast right hand kink. We're going to go into the braking zone and we're not going to risk it just yet. You know, it's the first lap of the season. You know, we don't want to end up losing our front wing or getting any damage like that. But you can see, moving a few laps on, we're actually losing quite a bit of time to Butler and Gasly's actually managed to make his way through the field. We're going to let Pierre go because there's no point in holding him up, and obviously that being our parent team, we don't want to get in any issues with Dr. Helmut Marko and get a slap on the wrist. But we're actually going to make an early stop just for the pure fact we've got no grip on these tyres. We're losing so much time to Butler, Perez and also Gasly. I mean, Gasly will catch up to them, maybe slow them a little bit, but up the field you can see we've got Charles Leclerc actually on a charge here. He's going past Max Verstappen into turn 1, so Leclerc is on the hunt now for Lewis Hamilton, and about a lap later he's going to be right up to the back of him. So Leclerc, this is for the lead of the Grand Prix. Leclerc's going to go all the way around the outside of Lewis Hamilton into the right hand kink, and bang, Leclerc is comfortably clear of Hamilton. Obviously they're side by side through this, but Leclerc's got the outside line, which is obviously a faster route round. And then about a lap and a half later, Verstappen also fancies the exact same move that Leclerc did, but Verstappen's going to get the move done a little bit earlier than Leclerc. So after we make our pit stop, we've got Hulkenberg, who actually managed to jump us, which is quite odd. So the overcut actually worked a lot better here than our undercut. So Hulkenberg's going to stay ahead of us, and there's no way we're going to make that dive bomb. It's just not worth the risk. But a few more cars coming out. You can see we've got I believe that's Devon Butler behind us. So it's very hit and miss on which cars we actually managed to jump and what cars didn't. So the only problem is Butler is a lot more comfortable on these tyres than ourselves. We had to make another pit stop later on because we were on the 2-stop strategy, which really set us back. So we got to catch up to all those cars again. We're currently sat in P12 and we was in the points originally, but a lot of the cars ahead are actually on 1-stop strategies, including Hamilton, which makes sense why he was going so slow. We're actually battling with Ricciardo now, and we lose a bit of our front wing, which is going to be an absolute nightmare for the rest of this race. You see Lucas Faber in the background, just loitering, trying to see what he can do. But you know, with 5 laps to go, we are struggling really, really bad. All the fresh tyres, but that doesn't make a difference. We've got less of a front wing. We've got Ricciardo going around the outside of us, going into turn 1. We're going to have to muscle our way through and just about hold on to that position all along the grass. It's going to be a very messy exit. You can see Ricciardo's going to get past. He's going to get DRS. Going to stay in the slipstream as best we can, and we've got to make an amazing move into turn 1. Going to be late on the brakes, maybe a little bit too deep, and luckily there wasn't a massive amount of contact. Maybe a little bit of tyre rubbing on tyre, but other than that, you know, we get a little bit of a warning from the stewards. But it's an absolute nightmare. These tyres are falling off the cliff massively. We have got horrific degradation on these tyres. As you can see, it's going to be very touch and go to get to the end. Lucas Faber's going to send it down our inside. He's going to damage our front wing a lot, like that is probably the most you can damage your front wing without falling off completely. He just absolutely just chucked it up or inside, and somehow he hit the right side of our car, but it actually damaged the left side of the front wing, which to me that doesn't really make much sense. But we're going to have a look at a replay that we managed to get everything sorted. But you can see it's kind of come down him inside all along the curb. He had no right to be there at any point, and yeah, really did damage our wing quite bad. But you can see just behind us we've got a massive battle going on, almost 3 wide coming into the corner. We've actually George Russell trying to put a move on the Renault, so 3 wide even through this corner, but Williams ends up dropping out, but the Renault staying ahead. It's an absolute madness up ahead, but on the last lap you can see the state of our tyres are awful. They are screaming at this point, please get us off. You can see I can't even keep it on the track at this point. Lewis Hamilton crosses the line to win, so we almost got lapped by Hamilton, which is kind of embarrassing. But you can see we've got a challenge from Lucas Faber on our outside, and we'll have to hold the inside as quick as we can. You can see how much wing we are missing on the front left, and we've actually got the hassle now of Romain Grosjean fancying a move. You got past Lucas Faber when we hung him out to dry a little bit, but, you know, all fair in love and war, especially in Formula 1. But we've got a humongous train behind us. We are just struggling so much, and there's not really much we can do. You know, we're missing essentially what was half a front wing, and that round here, you know, that's quite detrimental. It's not like a track where China, where you can probably get away with it down the back straight. But we'll have to hold on to the positions as best we can. You can see again we're going wide, which is going to compromise us a lot for Romain Grosjean on the final lap. He's going to fancy a move, considering how aggressive Grosjean is. He's almost in the grass trying to overtake us. We're going to go to the outside, he's going to go to the inside, and it's going to be very close coming into this very fast left and right. We managed to hold on just about. Not quite sure how we managed to do that, but he's going to come at us again coming into the braking zone. Lucas Faber might fancy a go if it all goes belly up. You can see we're side by side wheel banging through the last sector of the Grand Prix. We're locking tyres here and there, and you know, Lucas Faber's actually managed to make a pass on Grosjean, and he's going to try and make a move into the penultimate corner. He can't quite get that done, and we're actually going to hold on to it as we come through the last corner. We're going to go extremely wide as we just have no downforce. It's going to be incredibly close on the run to the line, but it looks like we can just about stay ahead of Lucas Faber. There's our tyres. They are absolutely done. Those tyres were done. There was nothing left in those tyres. One more lap and I'm pretty sure they would have popped for sure. We was well over the limit for them to actually be sustainable for tyres, but it was an incredible race, especially towards the end. There was so much going on, and definitely had my work cut out for me. You can see Lewis Hamilton, like I said earlier, he had won the race and almost lapped us, which had been slightly embarrassing. But Sebastian Vettel looked like he came home P2. And there's Bottas getting out the car, so he's not happy with that result. He knows he has the fastest car, and he just couldn't put it to use, unfortunately for him. But Leclerc P2, Sebastian Vettel P3, so it's a good result for Ferrari as a whole. Definitely a little bit better than Mercedes. Hamilton obviously ecstatic with his Grand Prix victory, but they'll celebrate with champagne on the podium. Unfortunately for ourselves, a 2-stop really did screw us over. Lucas Butler obviously getting some points before we can, doing the 1-stop, which is a bit disappointing, but for sure Hamilton doing a 1-stop and Leclerc doing a 2-stop. I'm not quite sure about Vettel, but as you can see, the ones who did the 1-stop, it did benefit a lot more for ourselves. Obviously also who did the 2-stop wasn't exactly great. Managed to hold off Lucas Weber, and which is obviously, you know, a little bit handier, but other than that, you know, it's just one of those things you can't really do much about, unfortunately. But let's go to our interviews now.
Amazing performance out there. I'm sure you're pretty happy with that. There wasn't much between you and Lucas by the finish today.
Yeah, it was incredibly close. We had a few moments where we touched on track, but I feel like it was fair racing all around. But it was definitely good enjoyment to race you know, a fellow rival from F2, which was quite fun.
You really looked in control of your car out there. Your team must be thrilled.
I'd like to think so. A few times I probably wasn't in as much control as I would have liked, but definitely cut the grass in a few corners. But yeah, as a whole, the car was good. We just struggled on tyre wear, which is something we need to work on in the following races, especially when we get to China. It could really hurt us if we're not careful.
It wasn't the cleanest race today, was it?
No, it wasn't. Obviously, you know, it's nice to finish the race with your car intact, but you know, these things happen. I think after the initial contact with Ricciardo, it kind of just went downhill from there. Then obviously the contact with Weber. I'm just happy to finish with the front wing, to be honest with you. But you know, overall it was a good race, and I can't really fault it for my first race of the season.
You left a lot of paint on the walls today. Were you struggling for grip, or did you just misjudge?
Well, I mean, you know, rather than not talk about the paint I left. There's more paint left on the car, so that's a positive, I suppose. But again, it just come down to the aerodynamics we was losing, and there's nothing we can do. We got a good position. That's all that matters.
Appreciate your time.
Bit unfair that I feel with the interviews, but that's been it for the Australian Grand Prix. I'll see you back for the Bahrain Grand Prix under the spotlights. Till then, guys, take care. Bye bye.